Welcome. It's really great to have you here. My name is Debbie. I'm from Why Follow the Herd, and it's really great. We've got a leadership coach with me today called Sharon MacArthur. It's part of my series that I'm doing, and we're going to be having a look at making you a great leader. And Sharon's got some great tips and techniques to actually get you from where you are now to where you want to be. So we'll get, just as everybody is joining, just to let you know that you are in attendee mode. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment box and we will do our best to answer. We've got some polls as well coming up, so it'll be great if you can join us on those as well. And it's really nice to have you as part of today's webinar. So we'll get started.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so so that's me. Now I've set up because I saw there were lots of problems with the way management was working. We had consultants not passing knowledge over, and actually I really want to empower businesses, or empower individuals to be able to affect their own improvements, to be the people they want to be. That's just themselves individually, but also to be in the business, get the business skills to be able to grow into their career or into, growing their business in the way that they want to be. And, it's really nice support. People think support as being, not a good thing, but actually support is one of the most fundamental things you can have. And asking for help is a show of strength. It's not a show of weakness. And, getting to the place where you want to be takes some help sometimes, and that's really important. And the most effective and successful people we have in business today actually have mentors, have coaches, and have people there to support. And that's what Sharon and I are here to do. We're here to support you into getting out of life, getting out of your business what you want to do. So I'm delivering part of a Learn from the Experts series. I do my own webinars as well, but this is part of this series. So we've had project and program management and change, leadership, looking at HR, business architecture. There's some other ones coming online as well. So you sign up for my Herd It's Monday. You'll see it on my website, which is whyfollowtheherd.com, and you'll find out some great free complimentary webinars that are coming up. And it's a great way to learn about some new skills and get some great top tips. Because we all want a smooth business structure. And we want an easy ride, we don't want the stormy weathers. We want a easy ride, and it's part of what we're doing in our professional journey. And we want to be able to work effectively with other people, and collaborate effectively. And leads us all to achieving our goals. To everything you set out to do your goals hit the back of the net? Because what we don't want to do is end up shelling out on lots of broken processes or broken activities or things that aren't working. We want to be a slick organisation and work effectively. If you're not careful, you can end up feeling like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. This is where effective leadership comes in. And this is why I invited Sharon to do this webinar with me, because she's really, really experienced in this, and she has some great tips coming up to help you in your leadership skills, your leadership style, and how to get the most out of interacting with other people. So, as I said, this is Sharon from Red Handbag. So, hi, Sharon. Nice to have you as part of the webinar.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
And Sharon has, she's done some absolutely amazing things. She was North Tyneside Small Business of the Year finalist recently. So that just shows, the sort of the class, the sort of work that she does, and how effective she's been. And she deals with micro businesses and business owners right up to FTSE 100 companies. And she specialises often in working with women in business. So, this is a great place to start and get some great information. So as we start, we want to go in and have a look at investing in your leadership development in your business right now. Have a think about, is this something that you do? Because this is really, really key. You are your best asset that your business will have. And whether it's your business or somebody else's business, people are the best asset. And investing in that is really, really key. So we're going to take through a fictional company. just so we can put a story to the whole webinar. So we've got a company called Meals to Dine For. Now, it was set up 10 years ago, and the owner invested £60,000 into setting it up. And at the moment, employ 10 staff. Now, their mission and what they want to do, their vision is they want to grow their business. Then over the next 2 years, which will mean that their staff size will double. And the mission is to sell, make and deliver freshly cooked meals to homes within the local area. And who they're selling to are families where 2 parents, 2 children, both parents work, both children have busy social lives, so they don't really have time to cook really healthy, good quality food. So this is where this fictional company comes into. So Sharon, having to make changes, it's really important. When's the best time to change is always now, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you're running a business in terms of leadership, people are never predictable. So if you're going to be a really good leader, you have to change probably every day and possibly every hour to adapt to the people that you're working with. That's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
So changes, if you don't like change, I guess my advice would be don't become a leader, because it's really hard work. It's not the easiest job, but it's an absolutely brilliant, rewarding thing to do when you get it right. So I'd like to put up there, Debbie, it's a model that I've come up with. I've been in leadership for over 20 years now. And what I've decided to do is to cut through all of the stuff that's out there and just really boil it down to 3 main things that can help you be a really good leader. And I've called it pre-leadership. Because being a great leader, there is actually no rule book. So when you set out on your leadership journey, often as a new leader, or even if you're an experienced one, you come across things that you think, my goodness, how am I going to deal with that? Where do I get the answer from? And invariably, there isn't one, and there's tons and tons of excellent books out there, but you probably live for 100 years and never read half of them. You have to care about people. It ultimately begins with you, which is why that's the first part on the slide. So when you understand you and understand what makes you tick, then you start becoming a really confident leader. Coaching. Now, coaching for me is a very overused word at the moment, and it doesn't really mean a lot. But what it means to me is helping to get and find out the reality from other people and the people that you're working with. And then finally, it's the ability as a leader to be able to use the facts. So when we're thinking about Meals to Dine For, what are the facts in that business? What are the facts in your business? And being able to use all 3, so understanding yourself, asking really good quality questions and using the facts, you can't help but start to be a really good, confident, competent leader.
I suppose it's like being a parent for the first time, isn't it? It never turns up with a rule book, does it? And how you do this.
Yes.
People get promoted, and often specialists in their field or practitioners, and they get promoted into leadership roles, and they don't really understand how to be a good leader. And it's quite a different skill set, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think that's a really great point, Debbie. Often what you find is leaders are promoted because they're very good at their current role. So they're very skillful and they have a lot of competence in the doing stuff. When you turn into a leader or you get into that position, whether that's through your own business or you work in an organization, you actually stop being the doer in many respects. So you get out of the place that you feel confident and comfortable in, and you've got a barrier. And sometimes that's what it can feel like when you're new into leadership, that you've got this bunch of people who are in your way to get the job done. And sometimes it's a big frustration. And often I find with new leaders, they tend to want to go back to where they feel comfortable. And that can be seen by their employees as being micromanaged, because they're going back down to where they belong. And it's not done with bad intentions, it's done with the best of intentions, but it's just because we're all humans as leaders, and that's where we tend to go when we feel comfortable to what we know. So it's a really good point that you've raised, that it's about learning to get comfortable with you, what your team are good at, finding their skills, using the facts, so actually you become a confident, comfortable leader and actually let them get on with the doing, because that really isn't your job anymore. You're the orchestrator, not the doer.
So that really then brings us back on to sort of building your own belief into your leadership then, isn't it? And understanding who you are.
Absolutely. So that's my first point on the last slide. It's really, really important that you get comfortable with who you are. So it's about learning, what are your dreams and goals and ambitions? So that fits in two ways. So if you're employed in an organization, when you work in a company that fits who you are, it feels really easy to get up in the morning and go to work. The disconnect comes where you end up working in an organization that don't seem to have values or behaviors that match yours. You might be in a company like that now. You might have been part of that before. But it becomes really difficult when you don't feel part of the organisation. And similarly, if you're a business owner, it's really important that you get to know who you are and what makes you tick. And then you're able to articulate that to other people. Because this really is your business when you're a business owner. It should be the essence of who you are. And if you don't really know that, it's going to be really difficult as you grow over the months and years to engage your employees, because they won't really have that consistency. So what I'm talking about here is really, what are your values? What are they? So just to give you an example, my biggest value has been for some time now making a difference to others, and that's why I do what I do. And all that means is, because I'm very clear on who I am and what that means to me, it actually drives my behaviour. So it allows me to get out of bed in the morning and just know what's right for me to do, what's right for Sharon to do. So doing things like this, which are helping other business people or leaders out there in the workplace. This afternoon, for example, I'm going to speak at a school, which is unpaid work for me, but it feels very comfortable because it's really about who I am, making a difference to the next generation. So my question to you is, what makes you tick? Do you know who you are? Have you thought about your values, your goals, your dreams and ambitions? On the flip side of that, have you thought about what really worries you, and what stops you from doing stuff? Because like I said earlier, leaders are humans too. And I think sometimes when you look up to your leader, I know I used to do this, and I didn't realise till a few years ago, I guess I wanted my leader to be perfect. And I think that's what a lot of us want from our leaders. We want them to be superhuman and just perfect all the time and just get it right all of the time. And we don't, and we can't. So it's really important that you figure out also what worries you and what frightens you. What stops you from getting on and doing the job that you need to do, or what stops you engaging with your people. Because when you know who you are and what makes you tick and what stops you, you can have then a plan to put it right. Also, I think a really big thing is, when I was a brand new manager, I didn't really realise there was a lot of informal support around. So are you part of good networks? Do you meet up with your peers if you're employed in a company? Who helps you when you're stuck and when you just need to let off steam? So what support and skills do you have? It's also recognising that everybody's different from you. And it's very rare that you inherit a team or you get a bunch of people who are exactly like you. Invariably, if you're employed in a business, you're going to inherit, no doubt, people who you didn't actually recruit. And that can be difficult. And when you're a small business, figuring out how to get the best people, because often a lot of small businesses I deal with start off with maybe friends and family, it's more comfortable. They know who those people are. But as your business expands, how are you going to recruit the right people? You really need to get people who fit with your values and your beliefs. So that's why it's really important to know that from the outset. Because if you don't, the danger is you recruit the wrong people into your business, and then it all starts to descend in chaos and cost you a lot of time, money and energy.
So can we put that back to our scenario then, in terms of Meals to Dine For? Because, that's a really good point, what you said about, how, the change and how you working and, thinking about, you might have come in to manage Meals to Dine For, and you might not have recruited all those staff, but you might have to go through change and dealing with that and understanding how to.
Well, it's really important that from a Meals to Dine For, you get to know who your people are. But if they do and say things that maybe wind you up, make you feel emotional, make you feel angry, should be telling you something, that there's something within you that's rubbing you up the wrong way, or maybe not, making you feel disconnected from that individual. So it's really important that you get to know who you are, so you can be completely resourceful. Especially when we talk about Meals to Dine For, if that business is going to grow and you have to recruit more people to bring that business in line with its strategy and its goals, then how are you going to do that if you don't know, A, what your values are or what the company's values are. How are you going to do that successfully so everyone starts fitting and gelling together? Because that's obviously the making of quite a big team. So it's really up to you. My challenge to you as leaders out there is it's really important that you look for the good in all of the people that you manage. About 20 years ago, things were a lot different in leadership. I'd like to think so anyway. And it felt like a couple of the managers I worked for like to do the opposite. They like to look for the bad in people and took delight in finding things that people couldn't do or that they weren't good at. That's not how things work these days. As a leader, you're supposed to be the adult, and you're supposed to be able to look for the good in people. I'm not saying you have to like everyone you work with. That's not really what I'm saying at all. But you have to be able to respect and find the things that they bring into your workplace. Now, sometimes, sadly, that will mean, so for example, in terms of Meals to Die For, if you've got somebody who's really terrible interacting with customers on the front line and they're employed as a waiter and they can't do that, what is it that they are good at, and could they be transferred into a different role in that business, or do you just have to get rid of them? Because recruiting people and your salary costs are the biggest time and money stealer that there is. So it's much more sensible and logical as a leader to look for the good in people and find out where they could go rather than where they couldn't go, if that makes sense. It's really about, I can't stress enough how much it starts with you as a leader. You have to be really comfortable and confident in who you are and your abilities to enable you to lead other people. Because when you're totally resourceful and resourced up, then you can help more people.
Oh, see, that's a really good point, isn't it? It's a bit like when they say you can't love people until you love yourself, almost. You've got to be comfortable with yourself, isn't it? Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So does that take us on then to how important is coaching?
It does. Thanks, Debbie. So like I said earlier, coaching for me seems like it's a very overused word, and I don't think it really means a lot to people, and everyone seems to be doing it, and it seems to be a buzzword, and almost every other person I'm meeting is a coach of something. Well, what is it anyway? Well, to me, it's about finding out the other person's reality and having the courage to ask questions to find out their facts and how they see the world. And to be a good coach, my view might be controversially, that I'm not sure everybody can be a good coach, and I'm not sure everybody should be, because you have to care about other people more than you care about yourself when you're in that coaching place, as far as I'm concerned. And you have to be really, really fully engaged. So again, if you know yourself that you're dashing around from one place to another, running around all over the place, you're in Meals to Dine For, it's a really busy service, you haven't got the time, and somebody asks you a question and you brush them aside, you're not really in the right zone or frame of mind to listen. So coaching is all about listening and noticing what the other person's doing or saying. So it's not just listening with your ears, it's also, I call it, listening with your eyes. You have to notice the whole person. And to be a good coach and find out what's going on in their world, it takes time. So often, I'm often having conversation with leaders, certainly in big businesses, who feel like that people become lower down in the list. So tasks and jobs and things become more important than people. But as we know, people are the lifeblood of your business, and if you don't make them feel like you care about them, they're not going to give their best for you. So it's really important that when you want to engage with your people, that you take the right amount of time to do that, and that you're not engaged elsewhere in your mind, even if you're physically looking at the person. I've seen this happen a lot of times, that somebody can not be looking at you in the eye, or they're playing on their iPhone, or they're doing whatever, and they're not really listening or noticing what you're doing.
I suppose being a good coach.
Go on, Debbie.
I suppose that's really important when you're going through change, like Meals to Dine For is looking to grow, and we see this all the time. We're living in businesses are in complex and changing environment. Nothing's predictable, where jobs were for life once upon a time, now they're short periods of time, and people move around and things like that. So I suppose it's dealing, like you say, things have changed a lot in 20 years, and actually being able to help people and coach people through those changes and being able to deal with that change is really kind of key, I'm assuming, isn't it? Especially for, small organizations that are looking to grow.
Well, like I said earlier, if you're taking the time and trouble to recruit people, it's really hard to find good people and people that fit with your business. So that's the first thing about knowing what your business stands for, what you stand for. But yes, if you're not going to take the time to nurture people, because we're humans, we make mistakes, we get things wrong. The people that you employ won't always, do the things you expect them to do. So if you're just to dismiss them and maybe micromanage them or tell them everything they've done wrong without finding out the reasons or the causes why something's happened, or if, for example, you want this person now in terms of change to take on an additional role or skill, if you don't take the time to find out how comfortable they feel about that, what their skill set is right now, what their concerns, worries or fears, or really what they're looking forward to, it's not all about negative stuff, then you're really missing out with your people. It's a great skill to have, and also to find out when things go wrong, to really dig deep and to really understand. So I'll give you a scenario. This was many years ago. I was told by my senior manager when I had literally only been in leadership about a couple of months, and somebody had, in their opinion, one of my team members had done something wrong. My boss got me into the office and literally said, this has happened. Go and speak to your person and tell them how unhappy I am. Now, as an inexperienced manager, I literally took that message and relayed it straight to my person. I didn't ask them any questions. I didn't find out what had gone on from their perspective. I just gave them what was given to me straight down the line. Now, I found out later, the person never said anything, to their, I guess, to their credit. They didn't speak up. Now, what happened was I found out about 6 months later what had actually happened with this scenario. I guess the point that I'm making is, if I'd taken the time to find out before just sending the message from one person to a person, I would have found out their reality. I would have found out what had happened from their perspective, and I would have been able to make a much better informed decision on what I was going to do with the information that my boss had given me, because my boss had got it wrong, but I didn't know that at the time, and I had the belief that anyone in authority knows better than me. And I've learned over the years that's not true. We're all getting it wrong some of the time. And so I would do things differently now.
So that means really then we have to think about the facts, not the feelings on things. Is that right?
Absolutely. Which is kind of moving on nicely to my next slide. So when you use it, so that's a great example, because in terms of emotions, do you ever find yourself talking about your feelings? I think this person's like this, or I believe this hasn't happened over several years, because it's all beliefs and feelings and wrapped up in emotion. The best thing that you can do as a leader is start getting comfortable and competent with facts. So as soon as it becomes a place where you're making things up, you're actually going to start disengaging people. Because when you're factual, you can't argue with the facts. So what are the facts? So when somebody says they're always late, well, is that a fact, or is that you being emotional? So are the facts that this person's been late twice in 6 months, are they the facts? So it's really, really important that you behave like, I'll call it adult behavior as a leader, and that facts become part of your day job. That you can't argue with them. And I guess that there's not a lot more to say other than you need to start looking at the facts rather than making sweeping statements that have a lot of emotion into them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that's all brings us really then nicely on to sort of part of building relationships, because, like you say, factual and, being clear with somebody and not getting emotional with somebody and dealing with somebody appropriately is really important.
It's critical, really, because we spend more time with people at work than we do with our families and friends. And as you read the news, which is getting more and more depressing every day, the retirement age, I know we were talking about that earlier, Debbie, retirement age is getting longer and longer in terms of state pension. So that only means that we're going to spend more and more time at work, even into our older age in the future. So it's really important that we find the right jobs for us, that we find right people in our businesses, So in our business of Meals to Dine For, we're finding the right people in the right roles. But when we've got those people, that we're really connecting and building relationships. One of my beliefs is that ultimately people want to know that you care about them at work. if you're the leader. And I'm certainly not talking about being a soft touch. I'm certainly not talking about being their best friend. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being firm but fair, and absolutely down the line. So there is no question what's expected of a person. So you're setting out those clear expectations, what their role is, and also importantly, what your role is, what you're there to do for them, and what they need to do for the role, and what the rewards and the benefits are when they do that. So it shouldn't be about looking for the bad stuff, as I said earlier. It should be about looking for and spotting the good stuff, and rewarding and recognizing those things. And that's a huge thing that I think a lot of leaders miss out on, or they don't do enough of it. So they do it sometimes. And obviously reward and recognition can be as small and as cost effective as a thank you, a birthday card, but you have to mean it. So again, in terms of building relationships, if you don't mean it, you're just doing a tick box, or you think you should, because you've read it in a book, oh, I think I should do that. People can tell, and that's as disarming and as uncomfortable as saying nothing at all. So if you don't mean it, my advice would be, don't do it. So that goes on to my next point about being honest. So as the leader, if you don't know something, and invariably, if I look at Meals to Dine For, as a business owner, you will not know the detail as your business grows. And even when you're in a team and you manage people, you will not know all of the detail and all the expertise that your people have. You're not meant to. What you're meant to be doing is to orchestrate, to hold the team together, to be really clear on the direction. So if you don't know something, again, just be honest. You're a human. There is no shame in not knowing something, and you're not meant to know everything anyway. So if you don't know something, just say and make it a business to find out, and then go back to your people and tell them. I have come across a number of people over the years who made things up, and it starts disconnecting you from your team.
Is it useful in that situation then, with like Meals to Dine For? If you build up those good relationships, you get goodwill back from the employees as well. But does it help then finding out what their other skills are that maybe you can incorporate into their job, especially in small organisations? Or is it better to stick, do you think, to what their role profile or what their job descriptions are?
Well, I think when you're employing somebody, if you don't know them and you've gone through an interview process and you've brought them on board, and okay, you look at their CV, what tends to happen is you employ someone to be, I don't know, a waitress or a waiter, and they're really good at that role. And you're just happy that they're good at that role. But what about if you were to check back on their CV after 6 months, or actually better still, have regular catch-ups with this person and ask them what their dreams and goals and ambitions are, and really take an interest in who they are as a person? Because actually, as a leader, it's really important that you utilise, and I said earlier, I can't stress this enough, that you're looking for the qualities and the skills that your people have. So even though somebody might be employed as a waitress, if they went and did a social or a multimedia degree, and you find out that they could be brilliant at Twitter or Facebook, or they might be able to build apps. I don't know what those people might be capable of, but if you never ask, you could be sitting on a gold mine and you could be employing somebody else to be doing those things, or actually it's right in front of you and under your nose. So it's really, really important to keep understanding what your people are doing, and getting to know them in a much more intimate way. I'm not talking about being friends and going out and drinking and dancing about and going out with meals with them all the time. I'm asking you in a work situation to really become that great coach and ask and find out and take an interest in your people.
So then that really just shows, everything you've said so far really shows that it's so important to invest in those leadership skills and actually developing yourself as a leader.
Well, the thing is, when you're doing that, you're able to delegate to more people. You're able to stretch them. You're able to, people don't leave a good company, they tend to leave poor leaders. That's just what happens. And I'm certainly not saying that we're all poor leaders out there. That's not what I'm saying at all. There is a small percentage of people who I've found over the years, and most people I speak to nod their heads in agreement when I say there's some people out there who've gone into leadership for all the wrong reasons. They're going into that leadership role because they want more money, It's all about status. It's all about them. It's all about their ego, and it's actually not about other people. So again, my strong belief is if it's all about the money and it's all about you, then don't go into leadership, because that's really not for you. But when you get it right, the importance of great leadership, great leaders affect your bottom line positively as much as bad leaders affect your bottom line negatively. Because good leaders are going to nurture your talent. They're going to take the time and the trouble to find out about their people. They're going to find out what makes them tick. They're going to say thank you. They're going to make people feel that you care about them. And like I say, that might even be saying that you've noticed something that isn't going so well. And that's just about you as a leader being really, really honest and truthful and factual about what you see. When you invest in leadership, it can't help but increase your profits. Because if you've got a situation where you've got people coming and going, or a bit like to dine for, you're looking to recruit new people. Imagine if you've got a poor leader in there and you recruit the best people that you can, they join you, they come on board, and after a couple of months they've gone. You're back to square one. You feel crestfallen, you can't get on with your business. Now, is that down to the individual in bad recruitment, which sometimes happens, or is it down to you, if you're the leader, or the leaders that work for you? What's really going on there? And often leaders don't get the support that they need. So the importance of investing in leadership. So what I'm saying is, my opinion is a small percentage of people are the wrong people in the wrong roles. A greater majority of people are those people who've been promoted because they were good at their previous job, and out of goodwill and good intention want to help other people. They want to be those leaders of the future. But often it's a sink or swim situation. People are just plunked into those roles. And they either sink or swim. So I can't stress enough how important it is to invest in your leaders. If that's you, go back to your business and ask for that investment if you haven't had it. If you're a business owner, think carefully about what investment you might need to help you manage other people. Or if your business is big enough and you have managers working for you, what investment have they had? So you know that they're really comfortable and confident, competent leaders in your business, because they will nurture your talent in the future. They will help solidify your business and make it solid. They're going to save you costs on things like recruitment, because you should have less people leaving and more people being promoted. More importantly, they're going to help look after your customers, because they're going to represent your brand, and they're going to make sure that everybody in their care does what they need to be doing in line with your goals, visions and ambitions.
See, that's a really good point, because some of the best leaders, like with Steve Jobs and Richard Branson, they created, they were really passionate and created this culture around storytelling. How do they create that inspiration and that passion and that the sort of culture around caring about what they're doing, caring about their products, caring about their services, and selling it to their staff and to their customers in a way that just creates such a really positive culture and environment. And we can all learn from that.
Absolutely. And I guess that goes back to my very first point about understanding yourself. You can't do that, Debbie, if you're not comfortable with you. You can't be passionate and love the job and inspire other people if you don't feel like that yourself. And people can see through that if you don't feel that resourceful. So that's why it's really important that you invest in yourself as a leader, or you invest in others if you have leaders in your care. Because those leaders, ultimately, they're going to drive, lead and manage the right behaviours at the right time to grow and drive your business. And ultimately, they're going to build you a really profitable business that people want to work in, and that they actually enjoy coming to work because they can see what they're achieving and they feel good about that. And that's what really life's about. Most people are aspiring to feel happy in what they do. And imagine if you can spend time in an organisation that just makes you feel good about yourself and that you've made a difference in that business. To me, that's what it's all about.
What sort of ways would you suggest people invest in leadership then? What are the tools, techniques, how do they learn how to be a good leader?
There's tons of different ways. As I said earlier, there's looking who's close to you. So have you got people who you admire in other businesses or in other departments if you're employed, who you could ask to become a mentor of yours? There's people out there, because we've all got different learning styles, of course. There's people out there who maybe like to read books. There's some great leadership books out there. people can be sent on training courses, which is a good thing, but I call them lovely days. So I think often what tends to happen is big investments go in on leadership days. But what tends to happen is it's happened to me, and it may have happened to you. You have all the best of intentions when you go on leadership training, or any kind of training, in fact. You get really enthusiastic on the day. It's a safe place to learn. Everyone's up for it. Everyone's, leaving, buzzing with the best of intentions. And you get back into the office, and then reality hits. And what you've always done confronts you. And you've got your pile of information. You really want to get to use it, but it goes in the drawer. And you think, I'll look at that later or tomorrow. And later tomorrow comes, and the knowledge is leaving you. You're kind of not so sure how. I know what I should do, but I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that in my job, in my role. So I'm a big fan of coaching, in terms of one-to-one coaching. And the only reason I say that, not because I'm a coach, just because over the years, having worked in big businesses for the last 20 odd years, it's where the magic happens, really. So return on investment doesn't happen when you just send people for training. Return on investment happens when you see people implementing the training. That's what the training's for, to be implemented, not just be attended. And I think that's the missing link that I see in lots of businesses. They feel that they've done what they need to do because they've sent people on a training course, but actually they're not getting the return on investment because people don't apply it, because they're too frightened. They don't really know how to. So if you've got somebody who's in that coaching capacity, they're going to hold your hand in a safe environment, be a critical friend, and help you to talk through your concerns, your fears, and give you angles and ways of doing things that just help you to get what you need to do. And in a very short space of time, if you get a good coach, that person can help you just do what you need to do. And then you've got the tools you need, and then you're off, you're doing it. And once you know it, you can't unknow it, I suppose. So that's what's good about working with a coach. Once you've got it into your mind, then it becomes a choice of your behaviour, whether you use it or not, but you can't then unknow it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. But also hold you accountable.
Absolutely. And that's the key. There's really no escape when you're working with a coach, because they're going to come back at regular intervals and ask you what you've done, obviously with the best of intentions. So it's not about making a person feel uncomfortable. It's helping you as a leader explore what you've done well, because I don't know about you. When was the last time you gave yourself a pat on the back? When was the last time you stopped for a moment and said, you know what, I did okay there. I did a good job. I'm pleased with what I did. Most people are rushing to the end and looking at all the ways that they didn't do stuff and how they could do better things, rather than just being, I guess the buzzword at the moment is mindful of what you've done in the moment. So being able to reflect. So again, I think the opportunity of using another person, i.e. in a coaching capacity, it does make you stand still and reflect, because that coach, if you've employed a good one, should be helping you to stand still and notice what you do well as well. It's not beating you up. Same goes for when you're working with your people. There should be a contrast of giving what I'll call data-rich feedback of what stuff could be better and why it could be better and how it could be better in a helpful way, as well as what you already do really well, because that makes people feel good.
So, have you got any sort of really top tips that we can, people can take away, that, the first, because this is a journey and it's all about baby steps, isn't it? You can't just suddenly arrive at your destination. Yeah. But have you got some great top tips for us that we can have a look in terms of, where do we go from here? What are our next steps?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think beautifully done, Debbie. I think that's on the next slide. So I guess as a summary of some of the stuff that I've talked about, know you, know who you are, know your values, what makes you tick, what worries you, what you like, what you don't like. Because when you know who you are, like I said at the very beginning, you can be absolutely resourceful. I guess I've kind of just touched upon it there, learning to give you time to set goals and review what went well and what didn't. So it's exactly that. Too many of you out there as leaders, as owners, as business managers are telling yourself how rubbish you are and trying to get to the next bigger target or the goal or the customer service level or whatever that is, or grow your business. Take a moment to just check in with where are you now and what have you done well. If you're in business and you're running a team, you're doing things well, sadly, as leaders, most of the time you're not going to have anyone who's going to come out of the woodwork and tell you that. So you have to learn to be able to tell yourself and notice when you're doing things well, because that's where your confidence comes from. And the more you learn to do that, the more that you'll grow and just feel better about what you're doing.
Which is where a coach helps as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's, on the flip side, there's then you learning as a leader to coach. And all I mean about that is asking questions to find out the facts. So that, I remind you my story about my manager telling me down the line, just do this thing, and me just doing this thing. If I'd taken the time to find out from the other person's perspective what had happened from their point of view, I would have been able to make a much more informed decision. So I'd be a better decision maker. I'd be a better negotiator, because if somebody said, for example, I want the window closed, and I just said, well, I want the window open. Again, the art of asking questions is, can you help me understand why you want the window, closed or open? That's just a coaching question. So coaching isn't a black or a dark art. It's just the ability to ask good questions to find out what other people are really thinking and what's going on in their mind. Because without those questions, you're going to make up what you see or what you think is happening, and that's never helpful.
So it comes back to the facts again then, really, doesn't it?
It's back to the facts, it does, which is why my triangle, I keep coming back to my little triangle. And be brave. I know I haven't really touched upon this, but when you've done all the things that I've mentioned up to now, and you're brave and you're able to find the qualities of your people, you're able to stretch and give them work that makes them feel alive and makes them feel motivated, then you're going to help to develop a replacement as well in terms of you as a leader. So often I come across leaders who are quite worried that they're going to have somebody on the team who might be better than them. Well, don't be worried, actually. If you can learn to embrace that and help them to get where they need to get to, then actually that is a sign of you as a brilliant leader, and not to be feared, but to be actually embraced. Because actually you're going to be off, I'm sure, on holiday, for example, at the very least. So most people on average get about 20 days holiday a year. So when you're on holiday, and if you haven't developed a replacement, who's going to manage the team? Or if you're a business owner, who's going to help run the show? And if that means that you choose never to go on holiday, well, actually you're not taking care of yourself. And when you're not taking care of yourself, you're not resourceful. When you're not resourceful, you're not going to be the best leader that you can be. So it's really important that even on the basis that you should take time off, that you are brave and you delegate your people, so at least you've got a replacement, at the very least, to stand in for you when you're on holiday.
I think it was David Ogilvy, who used to run the really big advertising agency, actually said that the key thing was recruiting people who knew more than you did, and that was the only way you could grow the business. And if you look at the opposite way of recruiting smaller people, your business will shrink, and you can't be you as the leader need to be seen as having really skilled and very knowledgeable and successful people around you to help grow and shape your business.
Well, if you can get really skilled at finding brilliant talent, you are a great leader. That's all I want to say on it. So you've said the point beautifully, Debbie. So yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, fair, and showing that you care without showing favoritism, that's a thing that crops up quite a lot when I'm dealing with some of my clients I'm working with. They worry about, I like some people, I don't like other people. So it's going back to the facts, it's going back to being honest, it's going back to being really fair about doing what you're doing and saying what you're saying. So everybody knows what's going on, and that you're not picking out people because actually you like them. You should find the value in every person. Of course, you're going to like some people more than others, but you're not there to be liked. You're there to get respect, to give respect, and to get the best out of people. It's not about I don't think. It's about that whole driving somebody to get the best that they need to for them. And that comes back, I guess, to the coaching philosophy. It's not about you, it's about the other person. And if you get it wrong, I've kind of mentioned that before, if you get it wrong, say so. You're not meant to know everything. And I'm astonished at the clients that I work with who think that they should know everything and get really, really wound up and panicky when they don't. You're not meant to. And a good old one, an oldie but a goodie, but praise in public and criticise in private. So if you've got something that you want to give feedback on that maybe hasn't gone so well, then take the person off, treat them with respect. How would you like it? Has it happened to you in the past? And how did it feel if your boss did that with you? Don't just emulate other people. When you know who you are and you know what's right and wrong, then you'll know what to do. And I'm imagining that most of you out there would want that to happen to you. Therefore, you should show that respect to your people. Remember, my final point is, whatever's happening in your team, your business, look upon it as your people are a direct reflection, of you. And that's good and bad. So often I'll get people, clients that I'm working with saying, oh, the team are doing really well. And I'll say, well, that's down to you. And they often are very humble and don't want to take the credit. But I say the same people, when it's maybe not going so well, telling me that it's absolutely all to do with them. So all I'm saying is, you take the credit when it's going well, and you take the kicking when it isn't. They're a reflection of you. So if you're having problems in terms of behavior and what people are doing, maybe look in the mirror first, just to see, is there anything that's encouraging your people to behave in a certain way. So remember, because you have that title, people are looking up to you all of the time. There's no escape. They're watching you for cues and clues on what to do and what to say. So a classic for me would be, I was working with somebody who was very upset that everybody had their mobile phones out on their desk. And when I went in to see the client, guess what? Their mobile phone was on their desk, and actually they used it quite a lot. So it's a bit like, having one rule for one and one rule for another. So unless you can actually articulate why you're doing what you're doing, that makes it different from your people, then you have to live by the rules too. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Oh, that's really great, because that applies what you've said. We had our scenario of meals to dine for, and everything you've said really covers that, but also it covers much larger businesses, whether you're working on your own, whether you're wanting to set up or wanting to start employing people. So everything just has such breadth to it, isn't it? It's not just for small businesses either. It's it's great skills to have, and things that we really need to have anyway, don't we? Just to grow personally, not only to be able to help other people grow, but it's good personal skills as well, isn't it?
It is. Well, I think everybody's a leader somewhere, somehow. So you might manage a project. You might be a mom, and you might have to manage, days out. It's just about, we're dealing with people every single second of every single day, just about. So a lot of these skills you just can use.
Yeah. So I think a good question then to sort of go on and ask is actually, can everybody have a real think about, if you haven't invested in leadership before, or you haven't thought about it, or you haven't invested for some time, for everything that Sharon said today, has that changed your mind, and how important understanding or coaching or learning about your own leadership and yourself and your belief and how you interact and have those relationships with others, has that made you think that actually that you've made leadership is more important, a greater priority in what you're doing? Because I hope it has. Because it's so important, not just only in personal development in our lives, like Sharon said, we might have children, and it's being a leader to our children, it's being a leader to, maybe we run a group, but also in our business lives as well. And developing us is a journey. We should never stop learning and developing as people in the way we interact and understand ourselves right through our lives, really. So I'm hoping now you're thinking that actually you are the best asset that your business has. And I think I said that at the beginning. And actually, it's important that you put some development into yourself, and because, we all need to grow. So I hope now you think actually it's that you're definitely worth investing in. So now we move on to Sharon. You've got some great giveaways for the people watching today.
Yes, a couple of little things there. If you want to grab my free top leadership tips, I've got something called 12 Things They Didn't Tell You About Leadership, which is a quite light-hearted look at 12 Things They Didn't Tell You About Leadership. So you can go to my website, which is redhandbag.co.uk, and download that for free. Everyone who downloads that ebook in March will be entered into a free draw, and I'm calling that a cake away, a virtual cake away. And what that will entitle the winner to is 3/4 of an hour spent with me either on Skype or on the telephone on a coaching session, really to help you become more a confident leader. So I'd be delighted if whoever's watching and listening today wins that. So I shall be drawing that on the 1st of April.
I mean, that's a huge giveaway because, you know, these coaching sessions, you know, like you said earlier, they create a huge return on investment. But, you know, to get free 3/4 of an hour with Sharon is a huge deal, you know, and so I definitely would say go onto her website, onto redhandbag.co.uk, and sign up for her book. I've got the book, it's great, it has some fantastic tips in there, but you know, just that chance to get that coaching session as well is definitely worth it. I mean, you know, people pay good money for this, and to have it offered to you for free, and just because it's free doesn't denote, you know, decrease the value of it. This is a really valuable product, so definitely sign up for that. Is there anything more you wanted to say on that, Sharon?
No, you know, just be, you know, whether you want the session or not, you know, take what you can. And again, if you want to get in touch with me and ask me any questions after this, then I'd be delighted to answer them for you.
Fab. Well, as Sharon has such a wonderful offer, I have put together an offer as well. I'm doing some business planning coaching. I did some research recently and found out that one of the key skills that people really want to increase their knowledge and develop on is around business planning. So I've put together a good coaching program. It's online, it's got some videos, which is great. But, you know, coming back to what Sharon's, you know, you can take away the training, which is great, but you know, it's the implementation of it that's really key. So to ensure that implementation, my training is backed up with some coaching calls, some group coaching calls. So that's really nice because you get the interaction of other individuals and other businesses that are going through, so you can, you know, ask questions, you know, and you can bounce ideas and suggestions and considerations off one another, which makes it really valuable. But it also holds you accountable as well. So it's really key. So we're looking at your internal and external market analysis. Now Sharon touched on goal setting, and that's really important. And I have a great way of setting goals, which uses both your creative and your logic side of your brains. You know, good way to get both sides engaged and working towards what you want. You know, understanding your avatar is really important, and your avatar is your ideal customer. You know, do you really know their hopes, their fears, their dreams, their aspirations? You know, where do you go to find and engage with these people? And we go through all that in the videos. But what's great about the videos is that you can watch them in your own time. It's not like having to take a day out of work to go on to a workshop or a training session. You can actually, you know, engage in these the nice bite-size videos, so you can sit down and, you know, spend 10, 15, 20 minutes watching something. You don't have to sit down for a whole hour or 2-hour long session. So that's, you know, they're a really nice way of being able to get some really good information and actually to be able to talk through and discuss that content and bring your questions to a coaching call as well. Now, I'm only offering this at this value today. You know, this is a one-time low price. £100 just covers the cost of the videos. So the coaching calls are an absolute bonus free, because normally they're £50 a go. So you're getting 3 of those. So you're getting £150 just in the coaching calls. You know, and people sign up for these. I have coaching calls all around the world, and they are incredibly valuable. You know, we learn some great skills and great techniques and that accountability off one another. So this is a great way to grow you and your business at the same time, and your skills and what you can do. So how you sign up is you go to my website, which is whyfollowtheherd.com, and on the front homepage there's a Herd It's Monday. If you sign up for there, and it's done today, then I will get in contact with you straight away about setting you up with the video coaching. So please go and do that. It's a really great one-time offer only. So as a thank you for joining the webinar. And Sharon, do you want to tell us a bit more about what you do and what you offer as part of Red Handbag?
I think you've just about covered it, Debbie. So from a red handbag point of view, I do work with gentlemen. I tend to do more work with women in business, just because women tend to tell me they lack more confidence as leaders. So I work all the way from FTSE 100 companies down to individuals and small micro businesses. And I'm just passionate about helping leaders get the tools, the skills, and the confidence to be really good at what they're doing, so I can help set them free so they can go off and achieve their dreams, goals, and ambitions. That's about all I want to say. It's no more complicated than a conversation. And I tend to work all around the UK and internationally as well. So I've been working in Paris, which sounds all very glamorous, and potentially I'm off to Madrid in a couple of months. But I'm passionate about helping women and leaders get what they need to get so they can just set themselves free and become confident.
Brilliant. So don't forget to sign up on Twitter with S Red Handbag, and look for her Facebook group as well, Red Handbag, and sign up for her on LinkedIn, Sharon MacArthur. She's a great person to be in contact with. She's got some great skills, and this is what I love about doing this sort of thing. It's that sharing and adding value to other people's lives, and actually not asking for anything particularly in return. It's just that lovely culture that we have, and Sharon and I are both equally, feel passionate about that. Sharon wants to grow you in your leadership skills, and I want to grow you in your business skills. And we both have a crossover with the confidence and the belief in yourself as well. And so take what you can from today, and I hope this makes a change in your approach to the way you're working at the moment. And get in contact with either of us, even if it's just for a couple of questions, or you want to find out a bit more about what we do. It'd be really great to have that communication with you. And because I'm all about helping you to improve the way you're working, and that supportive herd is what I keep coming back to. Is important, because it's about, instead of getting away that competition, it's about getting that creative. It's about helping each other creatively to be able to grow. And I have a Facebook page, and I have a good following on Twitter, and it's all about supporting each other and giving each other advice. It's a bit like my Heard It's Monday as well. There's some great snippets of advice on a weekly basis on a Monday that come out, all about my free webinars. You can sign up there on whyfollowtheherd.com and sign up for my Heard It's Monday. And having those conversations and learning that stuff, and being able to come back with questions and share experiences and help us all grow together is a really good thing to do. So it's just to end off now before we go, is just to say, keep an eye out for the rest of my Talks 2 series. I've got some of the great people lined up, and I'd like to say a huge thank you to Sharon. It's been really, really great sharing this webinar with you. You got some fantastic experience, and the top tips, absolutely love them. And don't forget, everybody, to go and get her ebook, definitely worth having. So I'd like to say thank you ever so much, Sharon. Thank you for your time. It's been really great having you.
Well, thanks, Debbie, and thanks everyone for listening. Have a good day.
Okay, and take care, everybody. I hope to see you on a webinar soon.
Thanks, bye.